ChatGPT, Midjourney, it's based on what we call LLMs, large language models.
What is it doing right now that's is like blowing your mind in terms of usefulness?
I'll start with the simple answer first, and it's disappointing for a lot of people. It's marketing and sales.
Ladies and gentlemen, episode number 64 of my AI Love Affair. My name is Ronsley, and today I'm talking with Neil Sahota. And if you Google him, he's a chief AI officer of some companies, including an advisor to the United Nations and IBM Master Inventor. He is the CEO of ACSI Labs. Now, we talk about the state of the AI industry. We talk about how to explore the current state of AI and what is happening and how it goes through these different cycles. We talk about different use cases when it comes to AI, how artificial intelligence is revolutionizing marketing. We know that. But what is exactly happening, how it's happening in sales, in healthcare, in finance, in education. We talk about how it is making us more human. Come, let's learn. Hey, it's Ronsley. Welcome, you AI geek, to this podcast, My AI Love Affair. Consider this podcast your digital compass, guiding you through the labyrinth that is business growth using artificial intelligence. Running a business as a creative can sometimes be like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded. But what if you had a secret tool that could align all the colors for you? That is AI. It's like a master key unlocking multiple doors. Thanks for being here. Let's learn. When you think about what's happening with artificial intelligence, I know it's moving really quickly, but like a snapshot of today, November 1, 2023, what is the state of our current industry?
It pains me to say that we're probably going through a second or maybe third hype cycle at the moment. It doesn't mean there's not a lot of great value that's actually being created for a lot of companies, small to big. But I think, again, especially with generative AI, there's this huge like hype cycle going on about what's possible. I think expectations have once again gotten out of hand. When I started this whole thing, with the Watson days back in 2011, we went through this whole hype cycle, right? Like AI is going to cure cancer. A lot more work needs for that to happen. Not saying it's impossible, right? Yeah. We went through that. We went through another hype cycle in around 2016, and I think a lot of value has been created for businesses across the board. But with Gen AI, again, I think there's real value, but it's another hype cycle where I think people's expectations have gotten way out of whack to what's actually possible. We're right now coming back down to earth as people talk about like ChatGPT hallucinations. So it's another reset, but there's good value happening. I think that's the perspective a lot of businesses got to keep in mind.
I'll get to hallucinations because I think that's an important topic, but how far are we from like Tony Stark?
I think it's going to blow people away. We're this far away. We're maybe about half a year from Tony Stark time. This whole thing about like extended reality and being able to kind of manipulate and like, I can't think of a better word than war game. Some of these designs, we're actually already there, right? It's only the limitation of where we've trained the AI on. And we're already doing this for like mental health, real estate development, and mining, financial services. It's starting to blow out kind of like ChatGPT did back in the beginning of 2023.
When I think about it being around for all this time and suddenly like everyone's going, wow, this is amazing. We kind of knew the black box effect. We kind of knew about hallucinations. We knew that was going to happen. But maybe you can help clarify what hallucinations are, why they happen, why they could still potentially happen going forward because of the nature of the predictive text and the transformer, that the way it is formed.
But like generative AI, like again, ChatGPT, Midjourney, It's based on what we call LLMs, large language models. And so it's kind of predictive on that front. And so when we ask them to do something, they do amazing things, help us plan vacations, write our resumes, all this kind of stuff. When we talk about like things like citations for research, or if you're a lawyer, you're looking for, cases to reference in court, we have these issues of hallucinations where ChatGPT is literally making stuff up, right? And this revolves around what we call prompt engineering. So generative AI only does what we've trained it to do and what we ask it to do, which is a draft.
Yep.
So there's been at this point a couple of dozen cases where lawyers have asked ChatGPT for references, where you talk to researchers asking for references and they get fake references, right? It's citing things that are not real and like, oh my God, what's going on here? It's hallucinations. The challenge here, and I've actually asked these lawyers, some of these researchers, what happened in their prompts. Well, they're going is like, look, I've got this case going on. Give me 3 cases I can reference in court based on my case strat. We all understand that as humans what that means, but the generative AI system doesn't understand that. Well, you're asking for a legal precedent or you're asking for a research citation that needs to be true. That's the issue. And so it's like, great, you're looking for this. I'm going to give you a near perfect match and I'm going to create it for you. And so it hallucinates and says, here you go. And then you put it in court, it doesn't work. That's the problem, right? If you say something like, please give me 3 real legal cases based off my case strategy, you get a much different result. Or I'm doing this research, I need 3 actually published papers to reference. It's very different. And while we, as humans, understand we need real stuff, the AI doesn't know that.
I love that example for multiple different reasons because it's a great segue into my next question, which is how can we explain to the creative entrepreneur? Because artificial intelligence can be so useful in different areas, and especially for the ones that have the magic inside them, but don't know how to do all the businessy things around it, right? They have to learn to be the entrepreneur.
So there's a difference between AI or machine learning and what we call augmented search, right? Like Alexa, Siri, Pixel, Bixby, name your favorite type of tool like that.
Yep.
We call those augmented search engines, right? You do a voice command or you type something in, and all we're doing is trying to look up and find an answer we already know, right? Nothing wrong with that. Great value. But that's augmented search. AI is different in that you can ask it a question we don't know the answer to, it'll try and figure it out. That's the value from AI.
It's way better than I could have explained that. So I love asking these questions because it's even that small bit where you can bring sense into it that someone who's non-technical can totally understand. And I love that. What are the use cases in the different sectors that you've seen and we should be aware of as a result of what's been happening with artificial intelligence? I want to talk about for sure the ethical considerations when it comes to AI, because we don't have a framework, and I think it's important for a variety of reasons. What are you seeing as the most useful creation of AI? What is it doing right now that's blowing your mind in terms of usefulness?
I'll start with the simple answer first, and it's disappointing for a lot of people. It's marketing and sales. And you're gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh. And there's probably a lot of people like, yes, I knew it. But the power of AI in this field is that you think about it, what's the best way to sell to a person? It's like being able to talk to them as a best friend, right?
Yeah.
We're not talking about microsegmentation. We're talking about like personalization. We're talking about knowing the customer as a best friend. And that's what actually AI can enable and actually does. So we've been able to teach AI psychology, neurolinguistics, which is the science of language. It's a fingerprint. And so you can actually understand the channels people prefer, the words that connect with them, what they value, their hobbies, their interests, the rewards that really incentivize them on an individual level. And as a result, you can literally talk to any customer right now like you're their best friend, right? Like a trusted source, and sell them on something, whether it's movie tickets or a car or the show to watch on Netflix.
That's a really important point, though. Like, I mean, the fact that you can role play, which is something that helps a lot of us learn better. The whole idea of role playing is, I think, we're taking that whole act like a marketer, salesperson, whatever, for granted piece especially when it comes to prompting.
No, 100%, right? And it's funny that, look, I'm an old guy. So for me, it's like, is that what I want? But for, the younger generations, that's actually what we prefer. We actually hear the feedbacks like, look, you should know me well enough to know what I would like. Why aren't you offering me those things? Where's the value? And there's value in doing that.
Yeah. What are you seeing as the next pieces of use cases, especially maybe different industries, right? What's it like in healthcare right now? Is AI being used? What's it like in finance or inventory management, for example? Is it playing any role right now?
No, 100%. Look, I think we all know there's a lot of value in operations like supply chain, logistics, figuring out more optimization, reducing costs. We talk about finance. A lot of the big banks are using this to figure out portfolio optimization, how to make more money, where to put the money in. We're trying to figure out the irrationality of people to juice up their profits. But the big area right now, Ronsley, is on education and training. So this is one of the things I think people are surprised by is that AI is actually helping us be more human, which people are shocked by, right? It's that a lot of the way we learn, our learning models, education, training is actually based in 19th century techniques. They've worked pretty well, at least so far. It's not like they're broken, but are there better ways to essentially wire a brain? And the answer is yes. That's cognitive science. There's better ways for actually to learn, make it more sticky, to improve our critical thinking, creative thinking, you know. But we don't tap into that because we're like, nothing is broken. But to make some of these modern models that have been around for 50 years work actually requires AI in the metaverse. And so what you're actually seeing now is this push into these immersive environments and kind of wargaming, role playing, being able to take risks in a safe environment, not blow up your business or blow up the world to see what will actually happen. It actually rewires the way we actually think about things so that when something happens in the real world, we're much better at reacting to it. We're much better about critical thinking and problem solving around it. And so as a result, what we found is that AI, the metaverse, some of these other emerging technologies have been big boons in actually making us more human and becoming better problem solvers. All these skills we need for the future of work, these are now enablers. These technologies are enablers to actually make us ready for those jobs.
You've said this multiple times, and I've heard you say this in other places, in your trainings, in other interviews, making us more human. Let's break down what you mean by that, because I mean, the digital economy has kind of taken us away from that whole idea of humanization or human interaction, I suppose. And also, I have a thesis that civilization has kind of destroyed some of our ancient wisdom that needs to come to the forefront when it comes to like collaboration and some of these really important topics, because they were kind of beaten out of us when it comes to the Indias and the Americas and Australias and all these different places, right? So what are your, like, I would love to hear the thoughts on that. Maybe the first part of that question is like, making us more human. What do you mean by that, and what does it look like? And then, and is there any sort of ground to the idea that we've got to bring back some of our ancient wisdom is the second part of that question.
So there's a program called Loving AI. Not what most people are probably thinking. The whole thought process around Loving AI is, at least before COVID, loneliness was the biggest illness in the world. About 40% of people suffered from moderate to severe loneliness. Maybe it's a little worse today. And the question became is, could we create an AI kind of avatar that would provide unconditional love? So not as a substitute of human relationships, but a safe space for people feeling this way to build up some of these skills so they can actually reach out and make those human connections, right? And so going down this path sounds great, but the first question became is like, okay, got to teach AI, right? It only knows what it's been trained to do. What does unconditional love mean, right? So it's like, that's a good question. What's the difference between unconditional love and like regular love? And is there regular love? What are the types of regular love? You got the love between spouses, love between parent and child, love between friends. And so it became this big kind of exercise in what it means to be human, right? What are the different forms of love? How do we connect with your relationships? So trying to figure out how to teach the AI this, we start thinking about like, wait a second, what do all these things mean to us as human beings, right? And so it became this very deep exercise into this to figure out what is this to be able to teach the machine. So it's an interesting thing.
I didn't think of all that stuff, and I think about a lot of shit that doesn't need to be thought about. It blows my mind. I want to come back to the idea of capturing these different ancient wisdoms, especially when it comes to like an ethical consideration, ethical frameworks. I feel we've kind of gotten to a point where different people are inheriting the earth in different ways, and with artificial intelligence, we could make it equitable, I suppose. How do you see that whole equation coming together from an ethical consideration?
It's also a bit of an organic conversation, Ronsley. So there's a lot of focus on use and misuse, which is the right focus, right? The challenge is that a lot of regulators, government agencies are like, look, we don't fully understand the technology. We need a technologist, industry to help us understand the uses, other uses or misuses that can happen. The problem is when it comes to technology, I think most of us realize is like we build something, we built an outcome, right? It could be good, could be bad. We're not thinking about that's not our problem. Should you guys be thinking about that, And so we're doing this, Spider-Man pointing at each other, and it's just like, oh my God, we got to be more proactive and try to figure some of these scenarios out.
Hey, AI Geek, thanks for listening. Your job doesn't stop here. I want you to lend your voice to the conversation. So you can join those conversations, discussions, new trainings, new recordings, and the rest of the AI Geeks by going to aigeeks.co/Discord. Also, share this podcast with a friend, another potential AI Geek. Until then, much love.